Hello friends, Kuyan here, and yeah, unfortunately I did shave my mustache, so yeah, now my beautiful baby face is gonna be concerning. But for today friends, I'm actually wanted to go back to my roots because in the past his reaction channel used to be like a horror. It is kind of unfortunate that I never seen like Nexpo or even Nick Crowley uploaded any type of new videos currently, so I'm actually very concerned of what they've been doing. Well, I guess I still know like some videos, especially horror videos of high quality, will always take their time, so I'm actually still waiting for their videos to upload. So in the meantime, I actually want to react on the Epstein files and stuff and what's been happening going on about that, because that is actually went so crazy and actually so insane. And I want to react to videos for today, so it's all about from Charlie Most Critical and from some ordinary gamers from Mudahar. So yeah, I'm actually very excited of like reacting to that. So before I'm going to play this friends, hopefully you can leave a subscribe for my video because I am looking forward to getting 1000 subscribers this year, so I'm really hoping to get that goal, or maybe not, but I am hoping, so you know, help me out. So without further ado friends, let's get into it.
Wow. Huge. Wow. A massive batch of Epstein files just dropped in hot, fresh off the battle bus here from the top turnbuckle out of nowhere.
Yeah, and also friends, I actually like heard Epstein. I didn't know like Epstein don't only like take advantage of children. I don't know they actually eat them. Like they actually buried their children's body from their ranch or something. It's actually very crazy.
Like I didn't think we'd even see any more with the DOJ putting up that huge stink even recently about like how courts can't force them to release it, this and that.
Also, there's even like a talk about like a lot of jerky and stuff. I think they talk a lot about jerky in their email and messages. Like they've been eating children, which is actually very disgusting.
It seemed like this was never going to happen because getting them to comply with the law was like pulling teeth. So they were a month late, but they actually released like millions of Epstein files. And there are huge, disgusting, evil things that have been uncovered in this latest batch of Epstein files. This time around, it's a little different than their previous release where there were hundreds of pages of blacked out redactions, and that was basically it. This is what you saw with the Epstein files, except I thought that was going to make the camera go black. You get the idea. It was basically just staring into the fucking void. It was just pitch black because everything was redacted. It was just a lot of nothing. But even amidst that nothing, they were so fucking incompetent that they left in the ability to unredact the files yourself, where people were able to catch them breaking the law, where a lot of the redacted names were not names of victims. They were various other things, and a lot of the redactions were clearly not victims. Sometimes it even seemed like the redactions were there to protect the names of potential clients and perpetrators, which again is a complete...
Which is so disgusting, man. Like the good thing is like these files are now released and the truth is now out there, so the people can make their own conclusions for that. And I'm pretty sure this will not last longer until like, you know, the government will try to hunt down these people someday in the future, I hope.
Violation of the Epstein Files Transparency Act that they were supposed to be following. But again, even with them farting out completely blacked out pages to protect these pedophiles in power, there were still a lot of huge revelations that came from this, such as co-conspirators that for some reason they never pursued. We don't know who they were because their names have been redacted conveniently, but we learned that there were co-conspirators they were investigating, and I guess they just let the leads dry up and then just said, fiddlesticks, they're gone. Now time to pretend they don't exist. Like Kash Patel under oath lying about it. Perjury Patel, by the way, still not punished for it. And speaking of unpunished, you know who else has been unpunished? Every fucking Epstein client, all of these rapists and pedophiles, all of them still just getting away with these unthinkable crimes. No one being handcuffed and thrown in the slammer. Doesn't even seem like they're pursuing any investigations.
And no, there's not even like any type of legal, you know, ways for them to even speak out of their crimes too.
Or anything into it. Across 2 administrations now, no fucking arrests outside of Maxwell, who Trump has done everything in his power to ensure she is treated like a queen at a new summer camp that she now resides at. Barely even a fucking prison. This is lunacy of the highest caliber. Now anyway, I know I'm getting kind of sidetracked here with like the previously on Dragon Ball.
But I think I always thought about like, you know, the law always catch up, even though it takes a little bit longer.
Z with this whole saga. The most recent batch of Epstein files came out a couple hours ago. Millions of files, so people are still combing through them. But what they are finding is alarming. Trump's name, of course, is all over these files. His name appears more in these Epstein files than Green Eggs and Ham appeared in the fucking Green Eggs and Ham Dr. Seuss book. His name is everywhere with numerous allegations about terrible, awful things. So
It's still kind of crazy, like, Charlie Moy's critical here. He tried to, like, I guess, reference Green Eggs and Ham, even though I didn't read the book or didn't even know about the book. It's actually kind of still funny.
some things we had heard little bits and pieces about from previous Epstein releases, but this one has significantly more, including this FBI report that claims Trump has been compromised by Israel, which anyone who's been paying attention to this administration shouldn't really be surprised at. I don't think anyone heard that and recoiled in their chair going, "What?" If anyone's followed everything that's been
Ooh, Raggy.
going on in regards to Trump and Israel, it should be no surprise that the FBI believed he was compromised, is compromised as well, most likely. But this is, again, new information that is hitting the public here from official sources in these Epstein files. These are big. Another
That does tell you, like, how deep the Israel war has been going on till today, especially from the Gaza Strip and stuff. Like, you didn't, like, you kind of always wonder why the Americans even, like, always support Israel on that side, even though what they've been doing is, like, atrocity, pretty much.
huge name of
But there are, like, a lot of connections, even that connects to Epstein in this case. It's actually a very crazy conspiracy. Holy shit.
appearing in here is Bill Gates. So Bill Gates had an exchange with
Yes, Windows always. There's always, like, ways to shit on Windows, and Bill Gates and their past CEO. I always, like, fist up with myself.
Jeffrey Epstein, and I think it's been
I love Linux. Okay, I use Linux. I just love
known
it.
for a long time. Bill Gates was associated with Jeffrey Epstein, but this information here is new that talks about how he contracted an STD apparently and had asked Jeffrey Epstein to provide him with antibiotics that he could secretly dose Melinda with. He had contracted
It's still kind of crazy. Like, people already, like, read all of this, even though there are, like, 2 million documents. Holy shit.
it from Russian girls, apparently. Another massive name coming in is Elon Musk, who had an email chain with Jeffrey Epstein that was in these files about him trying to plan a visit to Jeffrey Epstein's island, and he seemed to want to find the wildest party, the best time to come through to the island, and he was trying to make plans to go visit the island. These new files also expose blatant lies that a lot of really powerful people tried to peddle to get themselves out of hot water in regards to their close connection to Jeffrey Epstein, like Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick is Trump's commerce secretary, and he claimed he cut
So how did the FBI get all of this type of information? It's kind of crazy. Like, they can really, really take all of the information, all the emails and stuff, all destination stuff. Like, they really document every shit.
ties with Jeffrey Epstein
Like, it's kind of incredible how many, like, it's almost like spy operative or espionage or something.
in 2005, yet in these files we can clearly see he was emailing Epstein in 2012 planning a trip out there, saying, "Hi Jeff, we are landing in St. Thomas early Saturday afternoon and planning to head over to St. Bart on Monday at some point. Where are you located? Does Sunday evening for dinner sound good? I have another couple, Michael and Mary Lehrman, with me on my boat, and each of us has 4 children. 2 16s, 2 14s, a 13, a 12, an 11, and a 7-year-old. Thanks, Howard." What a disgusting freak. He's even listing out the ages of the children that are joining them on their planned trip to Epstein's Island. This is in 2012. That's quite a few years after 2005, Howard. Seems like you told a big-time fib. Howard said that he had visited Epstein's house in 2005, but it culminated with him getting the heebie-jeebies. He called
Who's Howard? I never actually know these type of people. I only know, like, Prince Andrew and stuff, and I guess some CEOs or something.
him gross and said that was basically kaput. That was the end of his relationship with Epstein. He washed his hands of him back in 2005, but that clearly wasn't true now, was it, Howard? These emails are from 2012, planning a trip out there and making a very odd mention of a bunch of children and their ages that will be joining you to Epstein's Island. Howard Lutnick is your U.S. Secretary of Commerce under Trump right now. This is your Commerce Secretary. And he is one of many very powerful politicians whom you'll find in these new Epstein files and previous Epstein files as well. These are just a few of
Man, the word of, like, power, absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's actually kind of crazy.
many
it actually goes so hard in this in this case.
Names, new names as well, very powerful people who appear in these files with alleged horrible, horrible things that they have done in connection with Jeffrey Epstein and the island.
Disgusting.
It is a big, big deal. This is undoubtedly just the tip of the iceberg here. This latest batch was
Like we still don't know, like there's other stuff, like how many children they've been like done, like how many, like I don't even know, like how many locations where their bodies even buried, like where are the children's now? I'm pretty sure a majority of them have been killed, I think, as I assume. But yeah, this is so depressing,
So
man.
there is still a lot of information out there that hasn't been adequately combed through, and still what we are learning right now is heinous. And I feel like it should be pretty obvious that there needs to be investigations conducted here, and maybe a little bit of fucking justice. Maybe some of these evil fucking demons getting arrested, perhaps. Why are none of these people in these Epstein files even being looked into at all? Why?
Yeah, and why are we like, I guess I think there's also like a lot of in America that I've heard, immigrants in this case. I guess, well, some of them are illegal immigrants. But yeah, why are we arresting them so easily while there's like rich people that are, pedophiles, in this case, like not being arrested or investigated for
Why
that
does
matter?
Kash Patel lie under oath about there not being an Epstein list or clients or like co-conspirators when we now have all this available evidence that confirms there definitely were co-conspirators? There definitely are clients.
And they already had the files. Like this has been released to the public now. They could have used these files to, hopefully, I guess, try to capture these criminals and like, hey, we have your association with these files privately, but now why do you need to send it publicly if they can arrest it already?
And there is nothing being done, not in this administration, not the previous administration, to hold any of them accountable or fine them. This is a huge deal that nobody should be trying to like minimize the importance of. For some reason, people are trying to pretend as though this is something we should just like brush aside, move on from the whole Epstein fiasco. That is craziness. There are people in the most powerful positions of government right now that are rapists and pedophiles that have got away.
They said they always want to, get all of your ideas to, protect the children. Fuck that, bro. I always hate like whenever there's like applications or companies like or laws even press like, oh, you should, we need ideas to verify you to protect the children. Fuck that.
With unthinkable crimes, and they need to be held accountable. We have
Also, it's also from the parents' side to hopefully, monitor their children if the children unfortunately go from all of these like, Discord and stuff, unfortunately get groomed, unfortunately. I hope that, I wish we live in a perfect world where parents hopefully monitor their children to not go on this sides or even like educate them in some way. I'm pretty sure school don't even do this, right? Like I don't think will even teach children to hey not go to this type of website and learn about these type of like disgusting people that will take advantage of you, and hopefully you can go to call your family, call your police. I don't know why we don't have any type of initiative or for children to learn all about this, or even parents too.
So much information here. We have so many names, and we need them to be investigated. We need justice. I don't know why so many people are so okay with being governed by these monsters. It's just, it's baffling to me. It actually boggles my fucking mind. This latest batch shows,
as I said, I'm pretty sure these monsters are going to be present in the future because the law is always like, fortunately, very slow. Like a lie can go around the world, but the law is like a snail.
even more evidence, shines even more light on these terrible, terrible things that unfolded here, and the close connections a lot of powerful people had to Epstein and the island. I'll continue to look into the files and see what else turns up from all of this. I'll be, of course, keeping my finger on the pulse of it, and I highly encourage all of you to be paying very close attention to it and the people named in these Epstein files, and the people that try and defend it as well. That is unacceptable. This is indefensible. There's no excuse for it. So anyway, wanted to just give you an update here. That's really about it. See ya.
Yeah. Oh, friends, this is the second video we're going to react for today, and it's all about Muruhar. So let's hear from his voice.
And, the Epstein stuff just doesn't seem to end, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, there's a new bombshell development every day to the point where, honestly, I just can't keep up anymore. I think this latest drop has pretty much been one of the most insane drops in the sense that it's probably the most we've ever gotten, and it's actually the most the government has made serious mistakes. Now, what kind of serious mistakes are we talking about here? Well, allegedly, one of those serious mistakes is that the government has decided to distribute what is potentially CSAM material. Now, this is not supposed to be happening, okay? But of course, unfortunately, this current government that we have, they want to protect some really bad people, but when it comes to the victims, I mean, screw them, right? So anyways, you probably read this on places like 404 Media, for instance, where they released unredacted images in their files. Some of these possibly, just possibly, being CSAM material. Now, obviously, I'm not going to teach you how
How did they put images within the documents?
access this, but to give an understanding, this is so poorly done that I'm here on the actual file, and for the first time, I'm not going to show you what data set I'm looking at. I'm not even going to show you the actual EFTA number. What I am going to show you is an actual live example of the government failing to provide this stuff. Now, to give you an idea, if I go to their actual page, for instance, right, and I decide to copy the EFTA number and just throw it in here, you can see that I get one PDF result here. That's just the one result in the data set. Now, if you actually go to that file, you can go up to the URL in some cases, and it is, in fact, so notoriously poorly handled that I can change the file format to MP4, for instance, which is a video format.
Yeah.
Hit enter.
Yes.
And it's, in fact, a video. Now, there are redactions applied to this, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But they are pointing
wait, what?
towards women, at least this video in particular, on a private airplane. So, there's a whole slew of this kind of stuff, and unfortunately it exists. The reality is there's also a lot of...
I didn't know that. Oh, so there's no images or videos. They're just file or I guess file numberings or stuff that you can just change the number and stuff. So you can see all of this. I don't know if this is redacted within the video or this has been redacted by Murahar itself, editing this video. So it's actually very interesting.
Jail footage as well, too. A lot of the footage has been released. It's somewhat a mixture of poor redactions, and sometimes it's a mixture of legitimate videos. Now, this video could probably exist, could just be titled something differently, but...
Oh, so it's redacted within the video, not from the editing from Murahar. Okay.
The way that they've hosted these files, the way that everything works is so infantile that a lot of people have just sort of been asking, why isn't this way more transparent as it should have been? But yeah, this is just one of those cases. And unfortunately, if you're a victim, it seems like as they've released these files, they have pretty much not focused on properly protecting the victims in this case. But when it comes to the actual perpetrators, well, it seems they're pretty much given the extra protection. Now, again, what I've shown you is not necessarily an issue there, too. Again, the government has released video files. Unfortunately, it feels like some people are able to access video files that they shouldn't have, video files that shouldn't have been distributed, which is why a lot of victims have unfortunately come out and talked about it, and a lot of hoopla has been raised about, again, people being re-victimized. Now, the other day, I talked about an interesting method that the government or actually third parties were going to be using to unredact some attachments in the Epstein files. Now,
yeah, there are actually very scary AI stuff. I've been hearing about this, friends. If you actually just blur a face of a person, there are actually AI that can actually re-blur it. No, not re-blur it. Remove the blur from the face. Basically, it's just analyze the environment and stuff. It's actually kind of crazy, how AI can actually do that. They can, basically, unblur some stuff. That's why black box are more effective for this case for censoring stuff. So yeah.
Actually, this method has bore some pretty serious fruit, for instance. Now, according to Mahmoud, the individual that sort of discovered and talked about this to begin with, he actually did showcase one attachment they actually ended up getting, right? So using the base 64, they were able to build some of these attachments again, and some of them were, as simple as this invitation to a breast cancer benefit. But there are other ones that are a little bit mind-blowing in this case, too. So according to Mahmoud, one of these, EFTA 003821108, which you actually open up really quickly, if you actually open it up real quick over here, you can see this is a from to. The only names here are Jeffrey, obviously, Bella Klein, Valton Cotran, and Mark Tollison. So of course, if you actually look over here, it has something.
Who are these people? Are they very, very powerful? Like, because I've heard that some of the Europeans, like some businessmen, some politicians, as I've heard, are also involved from this. It's actually kind of crazy, like how global this is.
To do with travel arrangements, where they talk about money and obviously, like, just travel booking. So the thing about it is that the traveler is blanked out in this case, but we do actually have this record locator. So of course, all of this stuff kind of tracks, but interestingly enough, down over here, the attachment is in that base 64. So this is where Mahmoud.
Why did you put it on base 64? It can be cryptograph. I think that's what they call it. But yeah, I actually love like learning about how cryptography works, how protection that is, and they put it in base 64. This can be like unredacted, or maybe can be like, converted to a video or some sort.
Actually dug out what I believe to be a pretty interesting piece. The attachment, ladies and gentlemen, is this attachment right over here, right?
Okay.
The actual invoice of the travel document that the government, I guess, wasn't going to release. Now, they blocked out the traveler name, right? And it turns out the traveler name is Svetlana Poshideva. Now, you might be like, whoa, who the fuck is this, Muda? Is this like a name that shouldn't have been released? Well, it turns out that this name actually belongs to Svetlana Poshideva, who is actually Epstein's assistant. And again, this is an article from all the way back, literally where they're discussing Epstein's Russian connections, his ties with individuals in the FSB and people in Russia. So Poshideva is a Russian national.
That is so crazy, like how deep this goes. And it's kind of crazy, like not all agents, or the good thing that there are documents that has been released by this. Good job and kudos for the FBI agents who've been, making all of these documents, recording his stuff.
Has a long history of business relations with Epstein. According to her, after graduating, she was working as a financial analyst when she finally made it to a final round of a beauty contest, signed a contract with Elite Models modeling agency, and moved to Europe. How exactly she met Epstein is unknown. A Daily Mail source confirmed that the billionaire offered her an opportunity to study and attend conferences with academics. She was photographed for the first time leaving the mansion with Prince Andrew, while Prince Andrew, the British prince later accused of sexual assault, was staying there. So again, a redaction that necessarily didn't make any sense. This was not a victim. This was somebody that was an associate of this individual.
I see.
And I don't know why the government felt that they had to fucking blank out the name. Didn't make any sense. It's not as if it was a victim, and it doesn't seem like it was somebody that was so fucking high up in Russia that it would have caused a national security situation.
I've heard I think Epstein also have connections with Putin, actually. So yeah.
And again, it's
actually very interesting. Like, it's crazy how globalized this is.
It's not like the DOJ is chasing after anybody, so it's not like there's an active investigation that anybody reasonably knows of. So yeah, another example of, I guess, people being protected. There is another example that just blows my mind too. Like, this is an email right over here. This is EFTA 017 43628.pdf. Now, of course, you can look this up yourself. And obviously, this leads us to an image DSC 06964 sent to Jeffrey. Who sent this? We have no fucking idea. All we know is it was sent September 22nd, 2016. But the contents of this email, age 10, is immediately something that just fucking blows my mind. I don't know what the age of this could be, given who this person is. I have to fucking imagine it's probably a child. It has to be something of that nature, a person, maybe their specific age in that photo. Because I'm sure as fuck not going to be like blind enough to think that
my heart is like, my chest is really just constricting.
Maybe he's sharing crazy. Like, I don't know, like an image of homemade whiskey.
I almost feel like I'm having like a panic attack or a heart attack.
Whiskey is like, yeah, this is the 10th year it's aging. No, I think it's reasonable to assume this might be the age of the person in this photograph, right? Now, nobody's asking the government release this photo. That's obviously not the thing.
Yeah.
But who the fuck is sending that kind of information? Why is that person being protected? that's a problem. You know, this was one document called EFTA 02731082. Now, I can view this on a platform known as jmail.world, where they archive all of these files. Now, the reality is you can't view this on the actual Epstein files, because if you grab this EFTA, it's actually been removed. Like, if you actually throw that in here, search, no results found. None of that. However, it did exist. And you want to know what that document consisted of? An investigation into the potential co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein. So again, the thing that most people are interested in, right? The guy is dead.
I don't know if the FBI are very, like they're very like bad at like releasing all the files, or they're purposely doing this in a bad way so that they know that the other powerful leaders are like watching them, like what they want to release, even though they realize, oh, we're just gonna release 2 million of them so that not all of them can be read by the people who's been watching over them. So they have to, they accidentally release all of this like co-conspirator and stuff. And now they're trying to like delete it because now they can see what the files have been going on. So I'm pretty sure they're purposely like doing this mishandling so that it can be found by the people, but cannot be censored by the higher ups.
Long dead is that piece of shit. But who else is in the network, facilitating such a sick practice for the elite in our world? That is the question that everyone is reasonably asking.
Yeah.
So obviously this focus
gave me like a thought, like there is even more powerful people that has been, trying to really cover up this one, which is kind of very interesting that there are still like a lot. If they're covering up like, this type of specific file about like co-conspirators, I wonder if there's even powerful governments or even like powerful people that have been, are being scared by all these files. This is the beautiful thing about the U.S. government sometimes, is they can release public files like this, and they can actually get scared of all of the powerful people because information is enough to like scare all of these like monsters that have been running amok in our governments and stuff. So yeah.
Maxwell and Leslie Groff, two names that we know very well. However, why doesn't the investigation focusing on these individuals mention the fucking redactions, okay? At the end of the day, there was no allowance for a redaction to be made if it was going to cause embarrassment or public issues for someone. If your name was in these files and you were not a victim or a national security concern, your name should have been released, okay? Simple as that. But the government does not want to do that. In fact, it's to a point that Bill Clinton, who also was mentioned numerous times in these files, has come out and said, yeah, by the way, I've called for a full release. I provided a sworn statement, and I've agreed to appear before the committee. Now, Bill, it's great that you're saying this, but you've got Twitter, buddy. You've got Twitter. Just fucking release what you know. Might as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, if these people care about so much transparency, honestly, like, these people are at the end of their lives anyways. Like, what?
Yeah, might as well.
Who gives a shit? Really, who gives a shit? Release.
Are you really gonna take that to the grave?
The got a platform. 252,000 people liked this post. Might as well go. Might as well release it. Okay? Come on now. Just put the fucking names on the on the tweets, bro. And this is why it's so tough for me to take any of these people seriously, because they're all in on it, Like, it doesn't matter what side you're on. They're all running this big game, and we, as literal cockroaches in comparison, like little fucking ants, are just begging for a bit of justice to happen, right? Like a bit of justice. When I read emails where sick fucks like this are writing words age 10, and you know what these people are involved into, and they're sending photos. I mean, that was sent on Gmail, for crying out loud, dude. How are you not able to proceed through this? There's jokes being made that, Epstein didn't go through like the dark web or like layers of encryption. The motherfucker was doing this all on Gmail, okay? He's doing this all on a tapped service. Like over here, when you read these documents where they talk about co-conspirators, it's like, we evaluate where there is sufficient evidence to charge. So again, this is not an indictment. This is more like they're internally assessing, hey, could we do these charges against blank, whoever this person is, blank, 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 Leslie Groff and or Ghislaine Maxwell? Why are these names so blanked out? If anything, it's like these people, if they're named in here in connection, that needs to be brought to light. That needs to be exposed. Imagine if these people are rich and powerful, which, you know, they probably are. They probably have assets. Wouldn't it be advisable to at least leak those names out so people around the world are looking at it with more scrutiny, right? These people and their connections. When you hide these predators from the light, okay, alleged predators, of course, they're just allowed to do whatever they need to, okay? They have full carte blanche access. How is it that this is tolerated by society? Now, of course, there have been other documents that have been brought up that people are talking about as guidelines for redactions, right? So, for instance, internally, a memorandum with the FBI and whatnot, here they talk about, hey, do you know what's a guidance for redacting images, or who would be able to assist with the guidance of, you know, CSAM victims, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, they did a really great job with this section, by the way. Brilliant fucking work over at the Federal Bureau. Good morning, sir. IMD RIDS requests guidance redacting photographs. Who is protected under this transparency task? Okay, so here they're talking about who is it. As mentioned before, we need guidance to redact 1B items. IMD RIDS is requesting clear and consistent guidance to process 1B items. There are several boxes that need to be processed, and the sooner they have clear and consistent guidance, the sooner they'll start processing those items. So 1B items contain photographs of multiple individuals to include the subjects of investigation, Epstein and Maxwell. IMD RIDS needs clear and specific guidance to redact those photographs. Some photographs depict victims, unknown identified males and females, former US presidents, Secretary of State, and other celebrities. The software does not have IA facial recognition to assist with the identification of some public officials and celebrities. So please
Really?
advise how you would like the team to move on. So obviously for me, this isn't the crazy like bombshell that some people are making it out to be, but obviously you do mention that, hey, at least we're confirmed internally. There's former US presidents there, okay?
Yeah. They're
There's
former.
Secretary of States in there, at least the Secretary of State at the time, and other celebrities. So they know that obviously the victims have to be protected. Unknown identified female and males, those have to be presented, unless, of course, they fall into the victim category and you find out, which can be a little bit tougher because as the
Yeah.
case develops, you may not know somebody is a victim, but you might accidentally release their shit and you might find out in the future. But things like celebrities, fucking presidents, Secretary of States, I mean, why?
I think only like release all of the famous people that has been known in the public. If there are still unknowns like who this person is or who this female is, then try to maybe not release it yet because they may be potential victims for
even
that for this
include that
case.
in the pool. Just again, it's like they admitted that these people exist without kind of admit. It's just why, what the fuck. Now there was one file in particular that was brought up to me that was a little bit suspicious. Now this is a actual apparently like release. This is from the actual files EFTA 001 00013180. And here they talk about a statement on the death of defendant Jeffrey Epstein. So for instance, Manhattan Jeffrey S. Berman said earlier this morning the Manhattan Correctional Facility confirmed that Jeffrey Epstein, who faced charges brought by this office, had been found unresponsive in a cell. So again, what makes this really shocking, obviously, is that A, it's in the official files, but also it is tagged Friday, August 9, 2019, which obviously for anybody that's been following this even in the slightest, Epstein's body was actually discovered on the 10th of August, 2019. Now, when it was discovered, I believe it was the time of 6:30 a.m. So yeah, 6:30 a.m. is when the guy was found. Now, obviously, it's pretty suspicious that a day before, a memo is already set for immediate release, talking about this situation. Now, ultimately,
That is interesting. That is very interesting. Like how a memo or a document in this case have already been written before his public death have been acknowledged.
you have the original metadata for this. I'm not so sure. What apparently a lot of journalists have said about this, and a lot of people that have covered this stuff, for decades at this point. I guess when a big event happens, like a draft gets like prepared, maybe they found the body earlier than 6:30. Maybe it was the day before. To be completely real with you, I find it weird that a day before this gets like drawn up. Again, I don't want to just jump into the conspiratorial side of it, but to me, it just doesn't make sense, right? Like, obviously, if the body is found 6 hours allegedly after August 9th ends, then wouldn't the draft for this be Like even if like you did like the most insane, even if you factored in the entire U.S. time zone, it just doesn't make sense. Just none of this makes sense to me, considering the fact that you wake up at 6:30. Obviously, you see this entire shit happen. You can't just preemptively, have a premonition that somebody is gonna fucking die. It's just
Especially like written already. I wonder if this is plan or some shit, but I don't know. I don't also want to go to conspiracy conspiracy and stuff because I also heard like a lot of people, Jeffrey Epstein is still alive and there's proof about it since this like prove it. I don't tend to believe that. I'll see like what is written, but this is very I guess weird stuff that maybe they've planned for him to die already before he's been killed. So I'm pretty sure he's confirmed to be dead, obviously. But I guess it is very weird that they already made a document for him to die from this case, which is actually very interesting.
August 10th happens. This number doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know how anybody can convince anybody that it would make any sense. But that's the reality. Now, ultimately, the end, what's coming out here is apparently now it seems as if the government is actually going to come out and give unredacted like Epstein files, at least to people in Congress. Okay, so fuck the
No.
people, the public that they're
Bullshit.
accountable for and actually
Oh,
answering.
come on, man. That's bullshit. Why the Congress? Why not the people? Come on, man.
No, give it to the people in Congress. Now, are the people in Congress going to leak this stuff out? According to the guy Thomas Massey, who I mentioned quite a fair bit, he's the one that brought this alongside another individual, Ro Khanna. They actually worked together to do this. So
Nice.
he is claiming that, he's just going to leak names, okay? And I am 100% in fucking support of that. Okay,
yeah.
Like at the end of the day, sickos need to be brought to light. Justice
Yes.
needs to be pursued.
They're like shadows, man. The moment you shine a light from them, they run away like there's nothing. They don't exist basically.
But one
They don't exist within the face of the light.
thing is certain: the government is a fucking bastard when it comes to delivering justice. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it seems
Yeah.
more information is coming out to light with citizen journalists and tech heads.
I'm pretty sure this also like changes the sentiment of like a lot of people, like living in America. They will try to look at Trump in a way that he's been associated by, Epstein in this case. Someday in the future, he will. I mean, even today, like his voting and stuff, like people's, I guess, approval about him has been weighing down. I'm pretty sure in the future he will get arrested, of course, because he will be a former president, and yes, and I hope like the people in America or even like all parts of the world. Hopefully, if this name has been released, they will try to like look at their government in a keen eye of who else is out there, and hopefully they will get arrested. Like all of these names will now get unredacted in the future because hopefully like the people will vote the right person to hopefully unredact these types of files.
Than the government will ever be accountable for. One thing is, and it will be written down in the history books, this might
Yeah.
be one of the most shadiest administrations that we've probably ever seen. The
I'm pretty sure this is the shadiest government since like 2000, I guess. Well, since I guess Epstein has been like running amok. Like I guess somewhere in the 80s or 90s, I guess. But it is kind of crazy, like what his like past is like. It's kind of still a mystery. It's kind of very interesting, like how he even got into power, how he even like, how he even like I guess part of the government basically and part of like larger corporations. It's kind of
Epstein
crazy.
cover up is probably the worst cover up I've ever seen happen. And the fact that it's happening in real time in front of us, it's truly a sight to behold. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
this is me, Mudahar, and I'm out.
Hell yeah, brother. So yeah, France, I'm actually very interested about this in the future. Like I wonder if this will ever get justice. I hope this will get justice. I really hope. Like here in the Philippines too, like we have fortunately like pedophiles too, like especially like mega churches and stuff. We also have that we have our own Epstein here. But hopefully like he has been arrested by the FBI, so that's a good thing now. But I always still wonder like what are his associates and stuff. Like I think it's like this is actually very very interesting. So yeah, it's actually kind of crazy like how much like powerful people have been doing this. It's like very very crazy like how much they are also like co-conspirators and stuff. It's like, hey, what Kendrick will always say, like he said like one part of his lyrics that I guess is from not they not like us from his like against Drake, that pedophiles can always like go in flock. It's actually very fascinating. There's actually truth to that. So yeah, and it's actually very awful, man. And the good thing is like there's the truth have now been revealed, and hopefully, in the future, justice will be served. So yeah, without further ado, friends, thank you for watching, and yeah, I'm looking forward to like seeing the stuff like this in the future and seeing what other stuff that have been like going on. So especially like how much like this will operate in the future. So thank you friends for watching and good evening. Oh no, no, it's not. It's morning still. So good morning, friends. Wait, see. Yes, there's still like 9 minutes before 12 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's still morning. It's 11:52 now. So yeah, good morning, friends. What a very sloppy ending.